There is a moment between the world's blow and our answer, a thin, almost invisible space where fate hangs in balance. Most never see it. Most are swept away, puppets to anger, fear, or pride. But what if you could live in that pause? What if, when the fire rises in your chest, you did not let it burn you from within? We are not here to be owned by every feeling that claws at our hearts. We are not here to dance for the amusement of other people's chaos. The one who can hold the line in silence while the storm rages, this is the one who truly commands themselves. When provoked, we do not lash out. When wronged, we do not crumble. When the world tempts us to react, we remain unmoved, as if some deeper strength holds our limbs still. This is not coldness. It is not apathy. It is power, born of knowing that our greatest enemy is often within. To control your emotions is to refuse to be ruled by them. To stand firm, even as every instinct screams to surrender to rage, envy, or despair. Every time you hold back, you become stronger. Every time you choose presence over panic, wisdom over impulse, you build an inner fortress no one else can breach. This is how we become unbreakable, not by denying our feelings, but by mastering them. In the end, the world will test us again and again. Let it, for we do not answer to the chaos outside. We answer only to the command within. The storm isn't out there. The world never falls silent. Its noise is relentless, a chorus of opinions, accusations, mockery, temptations. Every day, you walk through storms of voices that demand your attention, tugging at the edges of your mind. But understand this, the true storm does not rage outside. It gathers force within. The moment you allow those voices to slip past your guard, unchecked and unquestioned, we are trained to believe we are fighting the world, that our struggle is against events, circumstances, and people who do not understand us. But this is an illusion. The real battlefield is much closer. The war is waged not against the world, but against the restless part of ourselves that wants to answer every insult, chase every fear, and defend every bruise to our pride. It is not the world that defeats us. It is our willingness to let the world dictate the weather inside our heads. Consider the familiar surge that comes when someone disrespects you, the flash of anger, the hot urge to strike back, or the sinking feeling when you are ignored, the fear that creeps in, whispering that you do not matter, the restless craving to be seen as right, to defend your ego at any cost. These reactions masquerade as strength, but in truth, they are the shackles of the mind. When your mood, your inner peace, your sense of self can be stolen by the careless words of a stranger, you have not claimed freedom, you have surrendered it. The path to mastery, real, unshakable mastery, begins with awareness. Before you can govern anything outside, you must learn to notice your first reaction to the world. Notice the initial emotion, the electric jolt that courses through you before you have even formed a thought. Witness it. Do not blindly obey it. This is the first and highest discipline, to watch yourself unmoved. The strongest person in any room is never the one who raises their voice or commands attention. True strength is found in the one who does not flinch, who remains unmoved while chaos rages around them. We have spent too long as prisoners of emotion, yanked here and there like animals on a chain. Anger commands, retaliate. Fear urges, escape. Pride insists, make them respect you. But wisdom, real wisdom, speaks more quietly. It counsels, wait, observe, choose. It asks you to let the first wave pass, to delay action until you are master of yourself once more. This is not passive submission, nor is it weakness. It is the greatest act of power, refusing to let others set the tempo of your spirit. When the world speeds up, you slow your breathing. When others grow loud, you choose quiet. You decide the rhythm of your own soul, and nothing, not anger, not insult, not fear, can make you lose that center unless you permit it. This is the secret known by the unshakable. True strength is not a clenched fist or a raised voice, but a calm presence in the storm. True freedom is not found in controlling others, but in mastering your own reactions. The first step to reclaiming your mind, your peace, and your destiny is both simple and profound. Do not react. Stand still. Watch. Become the calm within the chaos. And in that stillness, discover the strength that nothing and no one can ever steal from you. The enemy behind your eyes. We spend much of our lives searching for enemies in the world around us. We point to the person who disrespected us, the system that ignored our efforts, the moment that stripped us of what we believed was fair. We carry lists of grievances, always looking outward for the source of our agitation. Rarely do we pause and turn inward toward the quiet place where we ourselves decide to be disturbed. There is a version of you, ancient and restless, that thrives on chaos. It is drawn to conflict like a moth to flame. It craves the energy of drama, the heat of confrontation, the spotlight of feeling wrong. This side of you is not interested in peace. It hungers for excitement, even if that excitement is nothing more than being offended. It waits just beneath the surface, listening for the slightest provocation, ready to erupt. A glance, a word, a moment's disrespect, and suddenly it is awake, eager to create noise, to demand recognition, to remind the world and you that it exists. But this is not your highest self. This is not the part of you that seeks wisdom or calm. This is the undisciplined mind, the untrained animal within. Picture a dog barking at every shadow that flickers across the wall, chasing every passing car until it collapses in exhaustion. It is a life of constant reaction, a life that is spent, not lived. When you allow this version of yourself to rule, you become slave to every insult, every petty slight, every disturbance in the air. The wise do not play this endless game. They do not chase after every insult hurled their way, nor do they leap into every drama that passes by. Instead, they learn to observe. They learn to let the first impulse rise, to feel the wave of anger, the sting of offense, and then, rather than clinging to it, they let it drift away, like watching smoke from a candle fade into nothingness. This is not apathy. It is discipline of the highest order. It is the choice to remain sovereign over your own mind, to refuse to be pulled apart by every passing wind. The truth is hard but liberating. The real enemy is not the critic, nor the insult, nor even the system that appears unfair. The true adversary is the part of you that insists on responding, that demands a reaction, that believes every slight is a wound that must be avenged. It is not the fires that rage outside that threaten your peace. It is the dry kindling you keep inside, always ready to ignite. Imagine what your life could become if you mastered the art of restraint. What if you could witness the insult, feel its presence, and yet remain unmoved? What if you could experience the provocation, but keep your posture calm, collected, above the fray? What if, instead of searching for enemies outside, you confronted the restlessness within and finally won that battle? Victory over the world begins with victory over yourself. The moment you face the enemy behind your own eyes and choose not to bow to its demands, you become untouchable. Once you win that inner war, nothing the world throws at you can truly defeat you. Control begins with awareness. And awareness, when practiced, grows into real power, the kind that no insult can shake, no circumstance can threaten, no chaos can undo. Every time you choose not to react, you strengthen this power. In this, you become the master, not the slave. The calm within the storm, the fortress no enemy can breach, and that is where true freedom lives. Stillness is a skill. We are taught to fear stillness, to confuse it with weakness or inaction. But true stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the conscious refusal to be pulled into the frantic dance of the world. Stillness is not doing nothing, it is the discipline of doing only what is necessary and nothing more. It is restraint, not laziness. It is intention, not apathy. Stillness is forged, moment by moment, in the heat of impulse and the noise of emotion. Watch the world and you will see the opposite everywhere. Most people tremble at the slightest discomfort, a word out of place, a moment of uncertainty, and they rush to fill the silence. They blurt out answers before considering the question. They act before knowing the true shape of the problem. They run at the first sign of pain, mistaking movement for progress and chaos for strength. They call this taking charge. They call it being bold. But beneath the surface, it is just noise, anxious, frantic, and powerless. True power is quiet. It does not rush. It chooses its moment carefully, like a sculptor chiseling stone, each action considered, each word weighed, each breath measured. Real strength is not found in those who make the most noise, but in those who can endure the pressure to speak, to act, to prove themselves, and instead remain steady. Power is the ability to listen longer than you speak, to watch the world unfold without feeling the need to jump in and control every variable. It is the rare art of waiting, of letting events reveal their true nature before deciding how to respond. Stillness is not just a physical practice, it is mental mastery. It is the subtle space between stimulus and response, between the thing that happens and the way you choose to answer it. It is the moment when anger rises and you do not lash out, when fear grabs your heart and you do not run, when pride is wounded and you do not rush to defend it. In that pause, there is power, a quiet, hidden strength that most never discover. If you wish to master your life, begin by mastering a single moment. The moment when the impulse to react is strongest, that is your test. That is where discipline is forged. Instead of feeding the emotion, instead of giving it fuel, let it rise and fall on its own. Watch as anger flares, then flickers out. Notice how anxiety surges, then passes like a wave. Let your emotions burn themselves out, like a fire that finds no wood to consume. Do not grab at them. Do not let them dictate your actions. This is not repression, it is true control. Stillness is not emptiness, it is presence. It is the ability to meet every situation with a mind that is clear, a heart that is steady, and a spirit that is unbreakable. When you can sit with discomfort, when you can wait out the storm without losing yourself, you discover a deeper strength, the kind that noise cannot touch and chaos cannot shake. In the end, stillness is not the absence of motion. It is the presence of mastery. It is the mark of those who are truly free, not because they do nothing, but because everything they do comes from a place of unshakable power. And that, more than any outward display, is the real proof of strength. Fire or furnace, your emotions are not your enemy. They are fire. And fire, by its nature, is neither good nor bad. It is a force raw, powerful, indifferent. Left unchecked, fire can burn down a forest, consume everything in its path, reduce years of growth to ash. Yet, in the right hands, fire forges steel, brings warmth on the coldest nights, and lights the way through darkness. Anger, too, is fire. The same anger that can tear apart a friendship or poison a family can also become the fuel for inner change. That burning sense of injustice, that surge of energy when you have been wronged, this can ignite the courage to draw new boundaries, to take action, to become someone new. Fear is also fire. It can paralyze, trap you in place, haunt you with shadows and doubts. But that same fear, harnessed wisely, becomes a motivator. It sharpens your senses, urges you to prepare, pushes you to evolve and transcend what you once believed was your limit. It is never the flame itself that defines you, it is what you do with it. The undisciplined allow themselves to be consumed, to be reduced to smoke and ruin by every flash of feeling. The disciplined, the self-aware, become like blacksmiths at the forge. They know how to use the heat, how to let it melt away weakness and shape something new from what remains. They channel the power of emotion, turning fire into light, heat, transformation. They do not fear the blaze, they learn to direct it. When someone insults you, betrays you, mocks you, the burning in your chest is not your downfall. The real trap lies in the story you build around it. They don't respect me. They always do this to me. I'll never forgive them. These are not facts, they are chains, forged in the mind, that bind you to your pain. Every time you rehearse this story, you feed the flames, allowing them to consume you from within. What if you dropped the story? What if you used the flame instead of being used by it? The insult, the failure, the betrayal, these are your furnace. They are the heat that tempers your mind, just as fire tempers metal. The world will not stop sending you heat, but you can decide whether it melts you down or makes you stronger. The mind, like iron, is only made resilient through heat and pressure. Without challenge, without pain, there can be no real growth. You cannot wish away the fires of life. You can only decide how you will stand in them, whether you will let them destroy you or allow them to forge something stronger from your soul. You do not need a life without fire. That is an impossible wish and a hollow one. What you need is the courage to enter the flames, to face the heat, to let the pressure shape you rather than break you. Stand in the fire. Feel every emotion. Let it work on you, but never let it deform you. In this furnace, you are not burned away, you are transformed. And in that transformation, you discover your true strength, the discipline of delay. The greatest damage in life often happens in the first 5 seconds after we feel provoked. Words are hurled like blades, words that cannot be taken back, no matter how much we wish it. Doors are slammed, both literal and figurative, closing off opportunities in relationships that may never be reopened. Rash decisions are made in the heat of emotion, decisions that haunt us, that burn quietly through the years, leaving scars long after the moment has passed. But there is another way. Those who learn to master the art of delay hold a subtle but unbreakable advantage. Their power does not come from inaction or cowardice, but from a deeper wisdom, a deliberate pause before they act. They do not flee from decisions, nor do they avoid confrontation. Instead, they choose their response with care, never letting the first rush of emotion dictate their action. The world, in its impatience, demands immediacy. Respond now. Prove your worth now. Defend your pride now. There is an urgency in every confrontation, a silent dare to act without thinking, to show your hand before you even know what you hold. But wisdom whispers a different command. Wait. Let the wave of emotion rise and fall. Do not build your life on the crest of a storm. Let the tempest settle, then see what remains. To wait is not to show weakness. To delay is not to surrender. In fact, the ability to withstand the discomfort of not reacting, the tension, the itch to do something, anything, is the very definition of strength. Every time you choose to pause, even for a moment, you are retraining your nervous system, teaching your body and mind that you are not a slave to the first surge of feeling. You are capable of stepping back, breathing deeply, and letting the turbulence pass. This simple act of waiting is not just a pause, it is a declaration of power. With every delay, you remind yourself, I am not ruled by instinct. I am not at the mercy of my emotions. I can wait. I can choose my path. And in that choosing, you claim your freedom. Power does not belong to those who react the fastest. It belongs to those who respond the wisest. The world is full of noise, arguments, accusations, challenges, demands for immediate response. But those who shape their lives by choice rather than reflex rise above the fray. They do not allow themselves to be manipulated by urgency or provocation. They see with clearer eyes, and in that clarity they are untouchable. This is the making of true leaders. Leadership is not found in the rush of feeling, but in the calm that follows, in the space between impulse and action. A leader is not made by what they feel, but by what they choose to do with those feelings. In moments when reaction seems demanded, a leader chooses delay, chooses to wait for clarity, to see the situation as it truly is, and then to act from strength rather than fear. Reaction is the domain of the untrained, the reflexive, the ruled. Mastery belongs to the one who chooses, who delays, who observes, who waits for wisdom to surface. Delay buys you clarity, and with clarity, you cannot be controlled by anyone or anything. This is how you become the master of yourself. And in mastering yourself, you gain the power to master any moment. The seduction of outrage. There is a peculiar pleasure that comes with anger. In the grip of outrage, you feel a surge of energy, a sense of being fully alive, justified, even powerful. There is something intoxicating about righteous fury. It offers a momentary high, convincing you that you are the hero and the world is your battlefield. But be wary. That pleasure is nothing but poison, a slow-acting venom that corrodes the mind from within. Outrage is seductive. It whispers to your ego that you are on the side of truth, that your indignation is proof of your moral clarity. It draws lines us versus them, right versus wrong, victim versus villain, and places you squarely on the side of the angels. In this heat, you feel untouchable. But beneath the surface, outrage clouds your vision. It blinds you to your own role in the conflict, to your own shortcomings, your own contribution to the noise. The rush of anger drowns out the quiet voice of self-examination. The truth is, outrage is the easiest reaction of all. It requires nothing of you, no discipline, no self-mastery, no courage to look inward. Anyone can be outraged. All it takes is an open mouth and a closed mind, eager to shout, eager to blame. The world is full of people like this, people who spend their lives fanning the flames of their own anger, convinced it is a sign of strength. But in reality, it is a mark of captivity. Those who build, who endure, who quietly rise above the noise, they know a different way. They do not indulge in easy anger. They do not let outrage run the show. Instead, they transmute it. They use the raw energy of emotion as fuel, not to attack others, but to discipline themselves, to correct their course, to change what needs changing within. They understand that lasting transformation does not begin with shouting at the world, it begins with reshaping the self. Ask yourself honestly, what does my outrage truly cost me? How many hours of focus are lost to replaying arguments in your head? How much precious peace is traded away for the fleeting satisfaction of indignation? How often does anger blind you, distort your judgment, leave you exhausted and empty-handed? Every outburst, every grudge, every moment spent feeding the fire of outrage is an emotional debt. You pay with your attention, your clarity, your well-being, and receive nothing in return. Let others scream. Let them wage their wars of words and lose themselves in the blaze. You are called to something higher. Learn to breathe when others burn. Watch, observe, and let your silence be your strength. While the world is noisy and restless, you rise above, not by denying your feelings, but by choosing not to be ruled by them. The most enduring power is not found in fury, but in the ability to transmute that fury into discipline, into clarity, into a quiet and unwavering focus. Those who lead themselves can never be controlled by the chaos around them. Stand apart. Let outrage pass through you, like a storm that leaves you clearer, stronger, and more at peace than before. In that space, you become untouchable. Emotional wealth. Most people drift through life emotionally bankrupt. They spend every mood as soon as it arises, without thought for the consequences. Each day, they allow circumstances to rob them. A careless comment snatches away their joy. A disapproving glance dissolves their peace. The chime of a single message is enough to shatter their focus. Their emotional accounts are always overdrawn, and they wonder why they are left feeling exhausted, anxious, and powerless. But you have another path. You can choose to build emotional wealth. This is not about denying your feelings or pretending that storms don't exist. It is about owning your emotions, acknowledging them, but never letting them own you. Consider the truly wealthy. Their power does not lie in never facing expenses, but in managing their resources with wisdom and discipline. They know what is worth spending on and what must be preserved. Likewise, emotional wealth is not found in a life free from hardship or provocation. It is found in the way you respond to each moment, in your ability to choose where your energy flows. To become emotionally wealthy is to refuse to spend your precious energy on that which brings no return. You do not pour anger into petty squabbles or allow irritation to fester over trivial offenses. You do not invest your fear in imaginary futures, allowing worry to drain you dry before anything has even happened. Instead, you become a careful steward of your inner life. You learn to invest in calm. When a storm brews, you meet it with steady breath and a measured mind. You save your strength for moments that matter, refusing to let small provocations empty your reserves. Each time you choose restraint over reactivity, wisdom over impulse, your emotional account grows stronger. Over time, something remarkable happens. Your reserve builds. While others are tossed by every wave, losing themselves to every passing wind, you remain grounded. People may begin to notice. They might ask how you remain composed when others are collapsing, how you maintain your focus when distractions are everywhere. The answer is simple. You did not give away what others spent carelessly. You guarded your wealth while they squandered theirs. Guard your emotional account with the same vigilance as you would guard your greatest treasure. Stop paying attention to every insult, every perceived slight, every fleeting shadow that passes through your day. Not every comment deserves a reply. Not every provocation deserves your energy. Choose your battles with care, and let most of them pass you by. The richest person is not the one who never faces loss, but the one who knows how to recover, rebuild, and refuse to be emptied by circumstance. The richest person is not the one who owns the world, but the one who owns their reactions. In a world that spends emotions recklessly, you can become a person of quiet, unshakable abundance. So practice emotional investment as you would financial wisdom. Spend with intention. Save where you can. Invest in what brings you lasting peace and strength. With every wise choice, your wealth grows, and with it, your ability to meet life's challenges with clarity, resilience, and calm. This is true riches, to possess yourself fully, no matter what the world demands. Training the witness. There are two of you moving through this life. The first is the one who feels the self swept along by every wave of emotion, every rise and fall of inner weather. And then Quietly present in the background, there is another, the watcher, the witness, the one who observes. Most people spend their days merged with the first self. They feel sadness and become sadness. They feel anger and become anger. They are gripped by fear, and for a time, they are fear itself. This is the untrained mind, a mind pulled along by every passing emotion, tossed like a leaf on the wind, never anchored, never stable. Their world is defined not by what happens, but by what they feel in response to it. But there is another way to exist, a deeper form of being that belongs to the trained mind. This mind knows of the witness, the inner observer who sees emotions rise and fall without being submerged by them. The witness does not suppress or fight feeling, but it refuses to lose itself in the torrent. It watches with clarity, with a gentle detachment, understanding that emotions are visitors, not rulers. You must train this witness. It is not enough to simply feel. You must learn to observe. When an emotion surges, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, what is this? Where did it come from? What story is it trying to tell me? What action is it pushing me toward? In that moment of questioning, you gain a space, a breath, a separation between the trigger and your response. This is the birthplace of power. That moment of awareness is small, but it is revolutionary. It is the break in the chain, the place where old patterns can be interrupted and new choices made. The witness is what turns reaction into response and chaos into order. It does not ask you to become cold or emotionless. It simply asks you not to obey every feeling as if it were law. To live as the watcher is not to deny your feelings, but to see them as part of you, not the whole. Stand beside yourself in moments of emotional storm. Look at your thoughts and feelings without judgment, like a wise friend who observes without scolding or praise. When you do this, you reclaim ownership of your mind. You remind yourself, I am not just what I feel. I am the one who feels and the one who sees. Most people go through life at the mercy of every inner storm, surrendering their peace to every surge of emotion. They believe that what they feel is who they are, and so they are forever, at the whim of circumstance. But the one who trains the witness, who cultivates this inner observer, becomes immovable. They can experience the full range of human feeling, joy, sorrow, anger, fear, without being swept away. With practice, this becomes your foundation. Each pause, each act of noticing strengthens the witness. Over time, the storms come, but they no longer carry you with them. You learn to stand in the center of yourself, steady and clear, no matter what arises. In the end, this is the great art of self-mastery, not to banish emotion, but to welcome it as a guest, to listen without surrender, and to act with wisdom instead of reflex. To live as both the one who feels and the one who watches is to possess a mind that cannot be conquered by the chaos of the world. This is true freedom. This is real strength. Choosing the weight. Not every burden you encounter is yours to carry. Not every offense thrown your way is worthy of your attention or reply. Not every emotion, no matter how fierce or insistent, deserves the full focus of your mind. Yet, most people move through life as if every passing weight must be shouldered, as if every passing shadow must be chased. They pick up every rumor, respond to every slight, drag along every inconvenience until their spirit bends under the heaviness of it all. And then they wonder why they feel so crushed, so weary, so short of breath in a world that never stops offering new weights. You must learn the discipline of discernment, the art of choosing your burdens, rather than letting life load you down with whatever it pleases. This is not indifference, nor is it coldness. It is wisdom. It is the ability to say, this weight is not mine to bear. It is the courage to let the stones that do not belong to you fall from your grasp and return to the earth. When the noise of the world rises accusations, rumors, small annoyances, petty disputes, do not let it divert you from your mission. Walk past the distractions that are only designed to slow you down. Release the reactions that leave you weaker than before, that rob you of your energy but offer no return. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every disturbance needs your intervention. The strong do not collect burdens, they release them, so their hands are free for what truly matters. Whenever you feel the urge to pick up a new weight, pause and ask yourself, will this matter tomorrow? Will it still matter next week, next year, in 5 years? If the answer is no, drop it. Walk away. The world will not end because you left a burden where you found it. The ground can carry it better than your back ever could. Letting go is not a sign of weakness. It is a mark of strength. It takes far more courage to walk away from needless burdens than to gather them until you break. Cowards carry everything, terrified of what it might mean to let go, always trying to prove their worth by how much they can endure. But true warriors are wise. They choose what matters and what does not. They pick up only what serves their purpose, only what builds them into someone stronger. To rise above the noise, you must lighten your load. Every unnecessary weight you drop is a step upward, a liberation of energy and clarity. When you choose your burdens instead of inheriting them from the world, you become unshakable. You gain the space to focus on your mission, to invest your strength in what is meaningful, to travel further than those weighed down by every passing trouble. In the end, the path to power is not found in carrying every stone, but in knowing which ones to leave behind. Let others exhaust themselves with useless weights. You walk with purpose, guard your energy, protect your peace, choose your burdens wisely, and you will find that in letting go, you rise. The mind refined by fire. There will be days when control feels like an illusion. Days when you are seized by an intensity that feels too powerful to bear, when your blood seems to boil, your jaw clenches tight, and every fiber of your being aches to lash out, to run, to break free from the storm inside. These are not ordinary days. These are the sacred trials, the moments that define who you truly are. Most people see such days as curses, as punishments from the world or from fate. But you must look deeper. These are the days that reveal your character. These are the days when your mind is not tested in comfort, but in discomfort, not in stillness, but in the very heart of chaos. Anyone can maintain composure when life is gentle. True mastery is revealed only in the crucible of difficulty, when you are pressed from all sides and still manage to hold the line. Let the fire come. Let it burn as fiercely as it will. Your goal is not to avoid the flames, nor to deny the emotion as it rises, nor to run from the discomfort. Instead, let the fire refine you. Let the emotion blaze, but do not be consumed by it. Watch it. Learn from it. Allow it to test your limits. But do not burn with it. Do not let it reduce you to ash. Step back, even if only in your mind. Become the observer as well as the participant. Hold your ground. Hold the line, no matter how much the storm howls for your surrender. This is where true strength is built, not in the safe pages of books, not in idle theories, but in the furnace of real life. Mastery is not a concept to be discussed. It is a practice to be lived, moment by moment, especially when every part of you aches to let go. The difference between the undisciplined and the refined is simple. The undisciplined react. They are flung about by every wave of feeling, every jolt of anger or fear. They are burned up by the fire, their form lost in the heat. The refined respond. They let the emotion rise and pass, standing firm, never losing their shape, no matter how hot the flames. Each time you endure the heat without surrendering your self-control, you become more untouchable, more unbreakable. Your core becomes forged, stronger with every trial. Let the fire come. Welcome it, even. It cannot harm the one who is trained to stand within it. The world will always offer new challenges, new storms. But if you can remain unmoved while your emotions rage, if you can watch the fire without letting it consume you, then you have unlocked a rare and formidable power. To control your emotions does not mean to flee from them or to pretend they do not exist. It means to remain yourself even as they roar and surge. It is the art of holding steady while the storm passes through, the discipline of choosing response over reaction, wisdom over impulse. And each time you survive the fire without losing your form, you become a little more untouchable, a little more free. In the end, mastery is not about silence or escape. It is about standing tall in the very center of the blaze and discovering in that heat that you cannot be broken. The pause is the weapon. A man who cannot pause holds no true power. He is not the master of his own fate, but a servant to every force that pulls at him. He is thrown from thought to thought, from feeling to feeling, like a leaf tossed in the wind. When emotion surges, he is swept along, compelled to react without question. He becomes a vessel for every anger, every fear, every impulse, never the captain of his own soul. Yet there is a secret kept by those who have mastered themselves, the power of the pause. In that tiny space between stimulus and response, often no more than a breath lies the difference between bondage and freedom, chaos and order. The pause is not absence, it is possibility. It is the still moment where choice remains alive, where you can reach for the helm instead of being dragged by the current. In the pause, you reclaim control. You can ask yourself questions that the hurried mind never entertains. Is this worthy of my peace? Is this bait set to trap me, or a truth I must confront? Will this moment matter in an hour, in a day, in the course of my life? It is here, in these brief seconds of reflection, that wisdom grows. The pause transforms blind instinct into thoughtful action, converting reaction into response. Without the pause, we are like untamed animals, ruled by instinct, forever running from or chasing after whatever grabs our attention. But with the pause, we ascend to the level of rulers of ourselves and, by extension, of our circumstances. The greatest leaders, the most steadfast souls, are not those who never feel anger or fear, but those who refuse to be governed by them. Their strength is not brute force, but the silent discipline to create space between impulse and action. You do not need more brute strength to overcome your emotions. What you need is more space, a margin of stillness between the fire that rises and the flame that consumes. The man who cultivates this margin becomes immovable, rooted deeply in self-control. He is not easily baited. He does not allow the world to dictate the rhythm of his heart or the pace of his mind. To build this power, you must practice the pause deliberately. Not once, not occasionally, but over and over until it becomes your new instinct. Practice until your first reaction is not to flinch, not to lash out, not to surrender, but simply to breathe, to stop, to watch the feeling rise and fall. To give yourself the gift of a few quiet seconds before you choose your path. Let this pause become your armor. When the world shouts for a reaction, when chaos demands that you move, let your silence become the most powerful response in the room. There is a special kind of fearlessness in not being rushed, a silent strength in not being provoked. Over time, the habit of the pause will change you. Your life will no longer be a series of triggered reflexes, but a landscape shaped by conscious choices. Your calm will unsettle those who expect outrage. Your stillness will confuse those who seek to manipulate you. In the end, the man who practices the pause becomes untouchable, not because the world has grown quiet, but because he has learned to create silence within himself. And in that silence, true power is born. The quiet crown. Those who truly rule their emotions walk the world wearing an invisible crown. It is not loud, gaudy, or ostentatious. It does not draw attention with glitter or noise, but its presence is unmistakable, a calm gravity that steadies any room, that draws others in, that commands respect without a single raised voice. This crown is not recognized by all, but it is felt by everyone. When a person with such presence enters, the atmosphere shifts. People become quieter, more attentive, as if instinctively sensing that they are in the presence of something rare. But know this crown cannot be given, it is never inherited, and it cannot be bought with money, talent, or social standing. No, this is a crown that must be forged by your own hand. It is built slowly, in silence, under pressure. It is created in the dark hours when you resist every impulse that wants to tear your composure away, when you choose not to retaliate, to insult, not to break under stress, not to be baited by the petty and the trivial. Every moment of hardship, every act of restraint, every silent triumph over your lesser self is another hammer stroke shaping the crown that sits quietly atop your head. The one who wears this crown is not always the one with the loudest voice or the highest title. Often, it is the person who is slow to speak, who considers before acting, who moves with intention rather than haste. This is the person others turn to in chaos, the one whose opinion is sought, whose judgment is trusted even in the absence of a formal position. This is the true leader, the one who leads not with authority, but with presence. Do you seek real power? Then master your mood, for a person who cannot govern themselves cannot hope to lead others. Do you want respect? Begin by controlling your tongue, by choosing your words as carefully as a king selects his advisors. Do you long for peace? Then stop surrendering it to every irritation, every slight, every shadow that crosses your path. You cannot build a fortress of peace while you open the gates to every passing storm. Every day, your invisible crown is tested. Life will throw insults your way, will send delays to frustrate you, will pile on inconveniences to see if you will break. Each test is an invitation to drop your crown and pick up every stone thrown at you, or to walk on, your dignity growing heavier with every trial passed. Many will reach for the stones, eager to defend their pride, to answer every challenge. But those who know their worth refuse to be ruled by such things. Their silence is stronger than argument. Their composure is more commanding than any display of force. In the end, the quiet crown shines brightest for those who refuse to be ruled by anything outside themselves. It is reserved for those who do not surrender to impulse, who do not allow their emotions to become their master. This crown is the mark of true sovereignty, seen only by those who have eyes to recognize it, but felt by all who encounter its bearer. Wear your invisible crown with pride, but let its weight remind you that true rule begins and ends with self-mastery. That is the only power no one can take from you. And that is the power that will carry you above the noise, steady and unshakable, no matter what the world may bring. Becoming the mountain. In every room, in every gathering, there is always one, the one who remains unshaken when the room itself trembles. This person does not rush to fill the silence with words, yet when they do speak, every sentence carries weight. They are not absent, nor are they aloof. They are present in a way that settles those around them. They do not react to every provocation, but neither do they pretend not to notice. They are aware, attentive, steady. This person is the mountain. A mountain is not cold, it is composed. It is not detached from life, but anchored within it, unmovable yet fully present. The mountain is not empty or hollowed out by the world. On the contrary, it is full of strength, of force, of energy, tightly reined in and used with care. The mountain does not waste its power on every passing storm, every whisper of gossip, every flash of criticism. Its strength is conserved, not scattered. This is what you must strive to become. The world will send its winds, gossip swirling with half-truths, criticisms like hail against your patience, moments of chaos that feel like earthquakes shaking the very ground beneath you. Let them come. Let them howl and rage. The mountain stands unmoved. Why? Because the mountain does not take any of it personally. It does not rise to every shout or answer every insult. It knows what it is, and that is enough. No emotion, no matter how insistent, no outburst, no wave of opinion can move solid rock. Understand this. You do not need to argue to prove you are right. You do not need to shout to be heard. The mountain commands attention simply by enduring, by observing, by holding its ground. It is presence, not performance, that gives true strength. Others sense this. They find themselves drawn to that steady center when their own foundations are shaking. Be the one others lean on, not the one who is always seeking something to hold on to. In chaos, be the anchor. When tempers flare, be the cool breeze that brings clarity, not more heat. When uncertainty rattles the room, be the constant that does not shift. Mountains do not react, they reshape the winds that come against them. They break the force of storms by standing firm, letting the fury pass around them while they remain rooted. The mountain's power is not in fighting every gust, but in being so solid that the winds themselves are transformed, softened, redirected. You will be tested. You will be provoked. People will try to draw you into arguments, to move you from your center, to make you prove yourself with noise. Resist this temptation. Endure. Observe. Hold your ground. This does not mean you do not care. It means you care enough about your peace and your purpose to protect them from being scattered. In the end, the one who becomes the mountain becomes the quiet center in every storm. They are remembered, respected, and relied upon not for their noise, but for their unshakable silence. Their calm is contagious. Their steadiness inspires. So, in every room, choose to be the mountain. Endure what must be endured. Hold what must be held. And let your presence alone shape the winds. In this way, you become not just strong, but the source of strength for everyone around you. The strength of not needing to win. Not every battle needs to be fought to its bitter end. Some of the greatest victories are won not by conquering others, but by choosing to walk away. True triumph is often silent, measured not in trophies or applause, but in what you manage to preserve your peace of mind, your precious time, your unshakable integrity. There are contests in life where the only real prize is what you did not lose. Those who are obsessed with always winning are, in truth, owned by the very game they hope to master. They cannot rest unless they have the last word, the upper hand, the fleeting advantage that so quickly dissolves. Their days are spent in pursuit of dominance, their nights haunted by arguments replayed and battles yet to come. In their desperate quest for victory, they lose themselves, they become prisoners to their own pride, forever running on a treadmill of endless competition. And in the end, it is they who fall the hardest. The wise live differently. They do not hunger for constant victory, they hunger for understanding. Their aim is not to vanquish every opponent or silence every critic, but to see clearly both the world and themselves. They pause and ask, before the first word is spoken or the first move made, what am I really fighting for? Is this a battle for my ego, to prove my superiority, to protect my image? Or is this a test for my evolution, a chance to grow, to become more than I was before? There is immense power in being unmoved, of letting the world rage and shout while you remain anchored in your own calm. To step aside from the fray is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the choice to value your own clarity over public approval, your own inner stillness over the noise of validation. Others may call you passive, accuse you of indifference or fear. Let them. What matters is that you have nothing to prove, and they will remember that long after their voices fade. The one who no longer needs to win cannot be baited into foolish contests. They cannot be lured into games that drain their spirit and cloud their mind. They do not need to be right at the cost of their dignity. They cannot be played or manipulated, because their sense of worth comes from within, not from any external conquest. And in the end, this is the only game that matters, the one against yourself. To master your pride, your need for validation, your craving for victory at any cost. The real victory is self-command, to walk away, to let go, to choose peace over noise and wisdom over vanity. This is strength, not weakness. This is the quiet power that endures when all the trophies have rusted and the applause has faded. This is the true power of not reacting, not to be cold or distant, but to be the ruler of your own mind and emotions. It is the ultimate form of self-possession, the ability to remain whole and clear while everything else trembles. You are not untouched by life, but you are untouched by the noise, the bait, the chaos that seeks to claim your spirit. In becoming unshakable, you finally arrive at the highest form of self-mastery, the freedom to feel everything and still choose your response. The world may swirl, storms may come, but you remain sovereign, grounded, and whole. You know the answer to what holds you together. It is the quiet discipline, the inner silence, the daily practice of being true to yourself. And in that, you find the power that nothing outside you can ever take away. You are unshakable because now, at last, you control you.